First tonight, a Hancock County man has died as a result of a motorcycle SUV crash. Maine State Police spokesperson Shannon Moss says police arrived just after 9:30 p.m. to a crash on Route 1 in the town of Hancock. 29-year-old Richard Ryan, the motorcycle operator, was pronounced dead at the scene. The SUV driver was unharmed. Troopers are actively investigating this incident and are asking anyone with information to contact Trooper Bagley through the Bangor Regional Communications Center. That number is 207-973-3700. No additional information has been released at this time. A standoff between a 25-year-old male and police occurred tonight in the town of Kentuskig. According to the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office, they were called to Kentuskig for a reported domestic violence incident. Authorities say 25-year-old Liam Gagan refused to cooperate with police, resulting in a standoff. Gagan was arrested and taken to the Penobscot County Jail. He has been charged with domestic assault, criminal threatening, violation of probation, and the Sheriff's Office says additional charges are expected to be filed. Officials with the Piscataquis County Dispatch Center have confirmed with us that a fire has occurred at the old Moosehead Mill in Monson. No further details were shared. The Moosehead Manufacturing Company was in operation in Monson for around 60 years before it officially closed in 2010. According to reports during that time, we'll provide more information when it becomes available. In other news, several crews from around Orono, Vesey, and Milford responded to a train derailment this afternoon. It happened in the Orono, Vesey area. Authorities were seen staging at the Penobscot Valley Country Club to respond to the incident on the railroad track between the course and the Penobscot River. According to the Orono Fire Department, 32 cars were on the train and 13 derailed. They say there were no leaks, spills, or hazards to the public. There were also no injuries reported. They say cleanup will occur throughout the weekend and the rail line will be closed for the foreseeable future until the tracks are repaired. New information has been released by federal investigators regarding the fatal explosion at Robbins Lumber Mill in Searsmont that occurred back in May. The report indicates that neither firefighters nor facility employees truly knew the risks they were up against. Our Callie Warren explains.
Just exploded.
We now know some of the contributing factors behind Searsmont's tragedy at the Robbins Lumber Mill back in May. An investigation by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH, finds that the response to the initial fire in a mill silo, quote, unintentionally caused its explosion. NIOSH says facility employees and firefighters were not aware that the silo was an oxygen-limiting structure. Their report says they were not aware it presented a combustion hazard. Crews thought that the fire was under control when the explosion occurred. That explosion caused one immediate firefighter death, Andrew Cross of the Morrill Fire Department. Belmont Fire Assistant Chief Wayne Woodbury later died of his injuries, and Robbins Lumber executive Alden Robbins was also killed as a result of injuries he sustained. Several more people were critically injured, many receiving severe burns. The local fire departments responding to that initial blaze were mostly volunteers, and according to NIOSH, were used to fires at conventional silos and not oxygen-limiting ones. NIOSH says more training around silo risks could have been helpful in this incident. However, they stress that firefighters did not know the risks they were dealing with. The town of Searsmont released a statement on social media. Town clerk Angela Silly said in part, quote, "While the investigation continues and new information has been released, it's important that we remember there is a difference between understanding what may have happened and assigning blame." Volunteer firefighters answer the call at all hours of the day and night. They train diligently and make difficult decisions under rapidly changing, high-pressure conditions. Those decisions are made with the information available at the time and with one goal in mind: protecting lives and property. As investigations move forward, we should allow the facts to guide any conclusions. It is neither fair nor constructive to rush to judgment or to diminish the dedication of the firefighters who responded or the company that suffered such a devastating loss, end quote. A link to that full report is available on our website alongside Silly's full statement. Callie Warren reporting for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
To the city of Portland now, a man with a lengthy criminal record is charged with murder for the death of a person on Portland's Back Cove.
You are charged in the criminal complaint with intentional knowing murder.
Portland police say on Wednesday night the victim was walking on the Back Cove Trail with friends when a man on a bike approached them. There was a fight, and the man on the bike took off. Police then found the victim, 21-year-old Julian Nedow, lying in the breakdown lane along 295 next to the path on Two Keys Bridge. Nedow was pronounced dead at the hospital. Police say they caught the suspect, 58-year-old Glenn Rodney, on Presumpscot Street, who appeared in court yesterday with a gash on his forehead. Rodney's criminal history includes at least 4 assault charges, including domestic violence assault. Police are not saying how Nedow died. We expect more details as the criminal case unfolds. In other news, a Maine nurse is back home after ICE arrested her. That arrest sparked a lot of outrage and a push for her release. Now her supporters are celebrating, even as what happens next in her case remains uncertain. Alison LaPierre tells us more about Deborah Capisha and her welcome home.
Union nurses, community members, and allies gathered in Portland on Friday to welcome home Deborah Capisha, a Maine Med nurse who recently was released from federal ICE custody.
She is free, and once again, the people of Portland, Maine have faced down the fascist regime of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller, and we have won.
Yeah! Federal officials say Maine Medical Center nurse Deborah Capisha was detained by ICE last week while traveling through Boston Logan International Airport. A few days later, the Maine State Nurses Association held a rally demanding her release. Bring her home! Bring her home! Today, a handful of nurses, community members, and allies came together to welcome her home. Capisha wasn't there in person today, but shared a statement saying, quote, "Thank you all for your love and support. I am thankful to be home and can't wait to return to my coworkers and patients." Capisha is originally from Zambia. DHS tells us Capisha arrived in the U.S. in May of 2024 and that her visa expired in November of that year, which led to her arrest. But her coworkers claim she has a pending asylum case and that she's legally allowed to live and work in the U.S.
You can't just disappear and no one's going to notice and no one's going to care. Your coworkers will come out and they will stand by you and they'll fight to get you out.
After Capisha was released, we followed up with DHS and asked why and when she was released. We have not yet heard back.
And that was Alison LaPierre reporting. In other news here tonight, after a Maine Supreme Court decision, Colorado-based MotiveCare will soon serve as the exclusive non-emergency transportation provider for MaineCare members. That ruling comes after the company was awarded that multi-million-dollar contract 3 years ago and has received local pushback since. Yesterday, I spoke with those on both sides of the debate. Here's that story. The Maine Supreme Judicial Court has affirmed the state's 2023 decision to award MotiveCare with non-emergency transportation services for MaineCare members. The Colorado-based company was awarded the 10-year, $750 million contract in 2023 by the Maine Department of Health and Human Services to provide those services for Regions 2, 3, 4, and 8, effectively making them the statewide provider, since they already cover Regions 1, 5, 6, and 7.
We're obviously excited. We've been in Maine for 13 years now.
The local social services nonprofit Penquist Cap appealed that 2023 decision, and they were backed by state lawmakers.
The issue had all along been that there was not enough public input, public accountability, transparency in how this contract was awarded.
In August of last year, MotiveCare filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
That's been resolved. We emerged from bankruptcy December 29th, 2025.
On Tuesday, Maine's highest court upheld the findings of a lower court and rejected Penquist's appeal.
Well, I think the court's decision is basically they feel this is a political issue and not a legal one.
The nonprofit's president said they'll, quote, abide by the decision, end quote, and they'll continue to provide those services until December 31st.
They actually are the people that provide transportation to and from. We're coming in to do our part, which is actually manage the program. And it's our intent to continue to work with them.
Further information for MaineCare members utilizing Penquist for non-emergency transportation services can go to our website. Doug Banks reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News. In other news, health officials are urging residents to stay alert for animals that may be carrying rabies. Alex Schley has the story.
So far in 2026, 15 animals in Maine have tested positive for rabies. Human cases of rabies are extremely rare.
The last case of human rabies in Maine was 1937.
Still, health officials say if contracted, it's nearly always deadly.
Once you start having symptoms, it's too late and, the disease is invariably fatal.
While rabies is most commonly found in wildlife, veterinarians say the virus is present in a number of animals across Maine.
Most of the wildlife is the ones we're most concerned with. Bats are, of course, top of the list. Raccoons, skunks, feral cats, dogs, and domestic cats also.
Experts also say the warning signs can vary.
So especially our nocturnal animals, if we're talking about skunks, bats especially, if you see one out in the day that is either acting incredibly erratic, or the other form of rabies is the dumb form of rabies where they aren't moving, are really unreactive.
If you have any contact with an animal that could have rabies, health officials say to err on the side of caution.
The nice thing is, if you've been exposed, you've got time. You've got, it takes, days to maybe over a week before you're going to start seeing symptoms.
It's another reason to be safe rather than sorry and get shots. Experts also stress the importance of keeping pets up to date on their rabies vaccinations.
Especially since bats can get into houses so easily through tiny cracks, tiny gaps in doors, windows. Even your indoor animals ought to be vaccinated because of the potential risk for bat exposure.
If you do encounter an animal that's presenting rabies-like symptoms or have close contact with a bat, officials say to contact Animal Control and the Center for Disease Control. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, folks, let's turn things over to Anna Conrad, who's in now with the first look at your forecast. Anna?
High temperatures for today back in the low to mid 80s here in Bangor, 82, Bar Harbor 81, Millinocket 85. Much cooler than yesterday. Going forward into tomorrow, very similar to today. However, we will be back close to 90 again heading into the start of next week. Now, we do have a few showers and thunderstorms making their way through the state now. Those will be out of the area by the early morning hours tomorrow. Lots of clouds rolling in tomorrow before we will have some sunshine, and that can cause us to have some scattered showers and thunderstorms, which can be strong to severe. But then clouds start to roll in later on Monday. For tonight, though, temperatures will be back in the upper 60s.
Good to know, Anna. Thank you for that report. We'll see you later on the broadcast. Folks, after the break, we'll take a look outside the state at some national stories. We'll be right back.
When Blazing Trails located in Lincoln want to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Blazing Trails is Lincoln's #1 trusted dispensary, providing outstanding product and customer service to eastern and central Maine.
Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes.
Going up?
Actually, I'm going down.
Yeah, me too. My A1C is under 7%.
Mounjaro?
You know it.
My man.
Hey. Ouch. Since I started taking Mounjaro for my type 2 diabetes, I'm a bit of a Mounjaro magnet.
I lowered my A1C and I lost some weight. Check out my pants.
I'm good. Okay. Never a dull moment.
With Mounjaro, 3 out of 4 adults reached an A1C under 7% and maintained it. And some lost up to 25 pounds.
Like this gal right here.
Nice, Mom.
Don't take Mounjaro if you're allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or vision changes. Serious side effects may include inflamed pancreas and gallbladder problems. Taking Mounjaro with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills. And before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and may cause kidney problems.
Hey, Mom, what do you say we take the stairs? Stairs is a great idea.
Ask your doctor about once weekly Mounjaro. Paid partnership with Lilly.
I'm a 5th-generation logger and the son of a public school teacher. A dad who worked 16-hour days, and that still wasn't enough. So when they tried to replace us with foreign labor, I led a blockade of the border. Susan Collins didn't help us then, and she's certainly not helping us now. We're all getting crushed out here. Healthcare, housing, heat. We've got to fight back. We're all hungry for it. Maine is ready for a change. I'm Troy Jackson. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. President Trump says negotiations to reopen the Strait of Hormuz are moving along, but some Iranian officials say the U.S. naval blockade needs to be lifted before moving forward with a deal. Fox News chief international correspondent Steve Harrigan has a story from Tel Aviv, Israel.
President Trump says negotiations for the complete reopening of the Strait of Hormuz are progressing and that he himself is playing an active role in those talks. Some mixed messages from Iran, especially some hardliners demanding that the blockade of the ports of Iran be completely lifted by the U.S. before any deal is made. Some analysts warn that Iran is simply playing for time.
There is, I understand, some concern that Iran is trying to play loosey with the football here because their real objective is to drag this out as long as they can into the midterms. But what it really comes down to is the fact that President Trump could inflict tremendous damage on Iran if he decides to.
A key sticking point could be granting Iran a greater measure of control over the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials have been adamant in saying they will not pay taxes on ships that move through the strait. The current traffic through the strait has declined dramatically. Right now, it's about 12 ships a day for the past week. That's been the average. Pre-war levels, it was 130 ships per day. In Tel Aviv, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
In other news, we're learning more about a rash of foodborne illnesses in the country. The Food and Drug Administration is investigating 10 outbreaks in several states. Fox News senior correspondent Jonathan Siri has the latest.
Fresh produce is at the center of multiple public health investigations.
Foodborne outbreaks are always going to be a challenge for one simple reason. Microbes outnumber us trillions to one.
Former CDC Director Tom Frieden, who now leads the global health nonprofit Resolve to Save Lives, says a complex international food supply chain requires robust inspections at the source.
Though we grow great food here, if we want the range and the cost that we get, we need to get food from all over the world. And that means we need to track how safe the growing practices are.
According to the Congressional Research Service, the FDA physically examines only about 2% of all imported food because of the sheer volume. Improved diagnostics have increased official case numbers, including hundreds associated with a current investigation into salmonella contamination in jalapenos from Sinaloa, Mexico, and thousands linked to the intestinal parasite Cyclospora in iceberg lettuce from central Mexico. But whether this translates to a per capita increase in foodborne illness is a nuanced issue, according to the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy Director.
Those associated with produce have surely increased, but so has produce consumption increased.
Dr. Michael Osterholm says contaminated produce is a small fraction of the 150 million servings of leafy greens Americans consume each day, but he wants to make it safer.
We ought to ask ourselves, what are the things that we can do that will actually improve on food safety? And have this be a nonpartisan, highly supported issue to say, we're just here to make sure that people don't get sick and die.
Meanwhile, security concerns in the Mexican state of Michoacan have prompted the U.S. to suspend avocado inspections there. And while there is no suspected outbreak, it is delaying exports. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Meanwhile, a Cyclospora outbreak is causing a drop in sales at some salad chains. Grocery store sales of repackaged salads also dropped 14% recently compared to a year ago. Fox News correspondent CB Cotton has the story.
Foot traffic to some major salad chains is dropping significantly as consumer fears grow amid the Cyclospora outbreak.
This Cyclospora outbreak is unusual. It's the largest ever documented. And Cyclospora is a really tough outbreak to identify.
Places like Chopped Creative Salad Company saw a 24% drop in sales on July 18th, which followed the FDA's announcement about the outbreak. And Sweet Green officials say they're also experiencing a slump, a 6 percentage point impact, to be exact, on same-store sales. It's not just fast food chains feeling the impact. Pre-packaged salad sales at grocery stores also dropped 14% in July compared to a year ago. Consumers say they are shopping with extreme caution to avoid getting sick.
Just try to watch what we're eating, make sure we're washing everything.
But the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy Director at the University of Minnesota says misinformation may also be fueling even more food anxiety.
One of the things that I've been struck by is how many people have given advice about how to disinfect or clean your produce. And in fact, none of them are based on science.
The FDA says the outbreak is linked to iceberg lettuce, which may be, in part, behind the more than 10,000 laboratory-confirmed cases. A separate salmonella outbreak linked to jalapenos at Qdoba, Chipotle, and other restaurants has also sparked consumer concerns. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
To Washington now. The much-talked-about White House ballroom has been put on pause, at least for now. A panel of judges ruled yesterday that the president does not have the power to build the addition himself. Fox's David Spunt has the story.
A federal appeals court ordered President Trump to stop construction on his new White House ballroom. Two of the panel's 3 judges wrote in their decision, "We are aware of no instance in American history in which a president unilaterally and using privately collected funds demolished substantial portions of the White House that Congress authorized to be built and American taxpayers paid for until now." The judges ruled the president needs to go through Congress first, but it's unclear if he would have the votes to make that happen.
My Republican colleagues who control the majority in the Senate have not indicated that they're willing to put up the vote to allow the president to demolish the White House and build a ballroom, build an arch, do this or do that.
The situation is more than complicated, considering the project is already underway, with an active construction site next to the residence of the White House. The president was quick to respond, posting on Truth Social that the ruling, quote, severely jeopardizes the lives and welfare of the people who work and will be working at the White House, including all future presidents of the United States and their families.
I think he sees the need for having a large venue and a safe place to have more people. Security will be much better there than, for example, the ballroom that the Washington built.
President Trump has vowed to appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
All right, folks, we'll have more local news after the break. We'll be right back.
They've got the sharpest pencil in town. Have they just sit around that showroom figuring deals and whittling that old pencil down? They know that if you buy once, you're gonna be back. So instead of buying one, you're buying 2, and that's a fact. They've got the sharpest.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
Do you know why so many New Englanders drive a Toyota hybrid? Maybe it's because a Toyota hybrid drives and refuels just like a gas-only vehicle, but gets much better MPG ratings, and you don't ever have to plug it in. Toyota's been building hybrids to take on New England weather for decades and offers more hybrid all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive models than any other brand. So at Toyota, we know hybrids. And now you do too. Toyota, let's go places.